Friends, where our solar system ends, the Kuiper Belt begins, and the biggest object there is Pluto, a world so far that less than 1% of sunlight reaches it, where temperatures drop to bone-freezing extremes. Dark, icy, mysterious. That's Pluto. But here's the big question everyone asks me. If our solar system has 8 planets, then where is Pluto? Was it forgotten, removed, or does it still belong? To answer this, we need to revisit Pluto's incredible journey from its discovery to being called the 9th planet, and finally, why scientists decided to downgrade it. So, if you've ever wondered what really happened to Pluto, stay with me till the end. Let's dive into the real story of Pluto. So friends, speaking of Pluto, Pluto was considered a planet for a full 76 years. When Pluto was first seen in 1930, it was declared the 9th planet. And from 1930 until 2006, a full 76 years, it was regarded as a planet. If you went to school before 2006, you definitely read in your textbooks that there are 9 planets in the solar system, and Pluto is the last one. Well, Pluto was on the planet list for a very long time, so for many people, it's hard to accept that Pluto is no longer a planet. Friends, in 2006, Pluto was removed from the list of planets and declared a dwarf planet. So think of it this way. Pluto is no longer a planet, but rather a dwarf object often thought of like an asteroid. If you Google it, you'll see. Now, how and why did all this happen? Let's understand it a little in detail, friends. Discovery: the story began in 1905, when a scientist named Percival Lowell believed that Neptune was not the last planet. Rather, there was another planet beyond it that had remained hidden from our sight. When he carefully studied the orbits of Uranus and Neptune, he felt that something was disturbing their paths. That something, he thought, was no ordinary object but a massive planet, which he named Planet X. Lowell wanted to discover Planet X, but unfortunately, he died before he could complete his work. Lowell also had an observatory called the Lowell Observatory. He died in 1915, from 1915 to 1929, a span of 14 years. The astronomers working at his observatory failed to find Planet X. Then in 1929, a new astronomer joined, Clyde Tombaugh, a young and passionate astronomer. The task that had remained unfinished for 14 years was finally accomplished by him. He discovered Planet X. Tombaugh spent a full year observing the skies with a telescope, looking for any object that seemed to move. Because if something was moving, it couldn't be a star, since stars remain fixed in place. But instead, it had to be a planet. After months of observation, in January 1930, he finally found a moving object. At first, he thought it might be a mistake, but after taking images of that object for several days, he confirmed that it was. A star, but indeed a planet, because it was shifting position in the sky. And so Planet X was discovered. Naming Pluto now that Planet X had been discovered, the problem was, what should it be named? Astronomers had a list of mythological names like Cronus, Atlas, Erebus, Persephone, Prometheus, and many others. But none seemed quite right. Finally, the name they liked best was Pluto. Interestingly, this name was suggested by an 11-year-old girl named Venetia Burney. She thought Pluto was the perfect name because, in Roman mythology, Pluto was the god of the underworld. Similarly, Planet X was located in a dark and distant region of space, almost like an underworld itself, the Kuiper Belt. For context, the Kuiper Belt is a region beyond Neptune where trillions of objects orbit the sun, including asteroids, comets, dwarf planets, and icy rocks. And among all those, the largest object is Pluto. So, it wouldn't be wrong to call the Kuiper Belt a kind of underworld, and Pluto the ruler of that underworld. That was the reason the newly discovered Planet X was officially named Pluto, and in 1930 was declared the 9th planet of the solar system. However, at that time, no one really knew how big this planet actually was. In the beginning, scientists thought Pluto was much larger than Earth, maybe even close to Uranus or Neptune in size. But that wasn't true. As Pluto was studied more, it became clear that it was neither bigger than Earth, nor even equal to Earth's size. In fact, it's smaller than our moon. Yes, Pluto's size is about half the size of our moon. If we compare it to Earth, Earth's diameter is about 6 times greater than Pluto's. And if you were to fit Plutos inside Earth, you could fit about 170 Plutos inside. So this gives you an idea of just how small Pluto actually is. Distance, Pluto is so far away that even modern telescopes struggle to capture clear images of it. Pluto is located about 7.4 billion kilometers from the Sun. That is about 49.4 astronomical units. Oh, if you don't know what an O is. 1 astronomical unit is the distance between the Earth and the Sun. So, saying Pluto is 49 astronomical units from the Sun means it is 49 times farther from the Sun than Earth is. Because it's so distant, even the most advanced telescopes, like the Hubble Space Telescope, can't capture Pluto in detail. Its images appear blurry and fuzzy with no clear colors or surface details. That's why scientists realized that, in order to properly study Pluto, they'd need to send a special spacecraft there. This spacecraft was named New Horizons. New Horizons. New Horizons is the only spacecraft ever sent to Pluto. It was built specifically to take clear pictures and collect detailed information about Pluto. When New Horizons finally reached Pluto and sent back images, they were stunning. The surface colors were sharp, and all the fine details of Pluto became visible. New Horizons was launched in 2006 and arrived at Pluto in 2015, a journey of 9 years. What it saw during those 9 years is an entire topic in itself, which can be discussed in detail another time. Before New Horizons, the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacecraft were launched to study the gas giants. Voyager 1 studied Jupiter and Saturn, while Voyager 2 studied Uranus and Neptune. Interestingly, scientists could have directed one of them toward Pluto, but at that time, the idea didn't occur to them. Both Voyagers were sent into interstellar space. Light and temperature. Since Pluto is 7.4 billion kilometers away from the Sun, the sunlight there is almost negligible. The amount of sunlight Pluto receives is less than 1% of what we get on Earth. That is why Pluto's sky is pitch black, so dark that you can see stars even during the day. As for temperature, Pluto is the coldest among the planets and dwarf planets. Uranus's lowest temperature is around 224 degrees Celsius. Neptune's is 214 degrees Celsius. But Pluto's temperature can drop to 233 degrees Celsius, making it colder than all the others. Orbit and rotation. You might be surprised to know that none of the planets in our solar system have perfectly circular orbits. They all orbit in elliptical, oval-shaped paths. But Pluto's orbit is extremely elliptical, much more than the others. Because of this, sometimes Pluto's orbit brings it closer to the Sun than Neptune. For example, at its farthest point, aphelion, Pluto is about 7.4 billion kilometers from the Sun. At its closest point, perihelion, Pluto is about 4.4 billion kilometers from the Sun. Neptune's average distance is 4.5 billion kilometers. So at perihelion, Pluto actually comes closer to the Sun than Neptune. It's already happened once. From February 1979 to February 1999, a full 20 years. Pluto was actually closer to the Sun than Neptune, temporarily becoming the 8th planet of the solar system. As for rotation, Pluto rotates clockwise, just like Venus and Uranus. This is unusual because almost all the other planets rotate anti-clockwise. Moons, friends, although Pluto is much smaller in size than Mercury and Venus, it still has something that both Mercury and Venus don't: moons. Yes, while Mercury and Venus don't have even a single moon, Pluto actually has 5 moons: Nix, Styx, Hydra, Kerberos, and the most special one, Charon. Why is Charon special? Because it is Pluto's largest moon. It dances with Pluto. Not only does Charon orbit around Pluto, but due to its large size, it also pulls Pluto into orbit around itself. In other words, Pluto and Charon actually orbit around each other. This happens because Charon is about half the size of Pluto, which makes its gravity strongly affect Pluto. While studying this, I came across something even more interesting. If Pluto had not been a planet today, it might have been one of Neptune's moons. Many scientists believe that long ago, both Pluto and Triton passed close to Neptune. Pluto managed to escape, but Triton was captured by Neptune's gravity and became its moon. So if Pluto had also been captured, today it too would have been a moon of Neptune, just like Triton. Well, friends, there is still so much more to say about Pluto, but this video would become too long, and you might get bored. So instead, let me now answer your main question. Why is Pluto not considered a planet anymore?
Downgrade.
From 1930 to 2006. For a full 76 years, Pluto was recognized as a planet. But in 2006, it was removed from the list of planets. Why? Let's understand. The thing is, apart from Pluto, there are many other objects in our solar system that could also be called planets. For example, take Ceres, a dwarf planet located in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Couldn't it also be considered a planet? Not only that, but in the Kuiper belt there are many other similar objects orbiting the Sun, such as Eris, Haumea, and Makemake. If all of these were given the status of planets, then our solar system would have so many planets that it would be impossible to even remember their names. So, in 2006, the International Astronomical Union (IAU) decided to set official rules to define what a planet is. According to them, an object must meet certain conditions to be classified as a planet. Here are those conditions. A planet must be a celestial body that orbits the Sun. Pluto does this. A planet must have enough mass for its own gravity to make it nearly round in shape. Pluto does this. A planet must not be a moon of another object. Pluto isn't a planet must have cleared its neighborhood around its orbit. Now, what does clearing the neighborhood mean? At first, I also didn't understand. But after studying more, I learned that it means a planet must have enough gravity to clear away any other objects near its orbit, by either pulling them in, throwing them out, or capturing them. This includes asteroids and dwarf planets. Unfortunately, Pluto does not meet this condition. It doesn't have enough gravity to clear its orbit of other objects. That's why, in 2006, Pluto was officially removed from the list of planets and reclassified as a dwarf planet, meaning a body that misses one or more of these required conditions. So, if you read in your school books that Pluto was the 9th planet, you might feel a little sad now, because this tiny Pluto was once the favorite planet of many children. I hope this answered all your questions and that you learned something new from this video. As you know, a lot of study goes into making these videos, and then a lot of editing too. So I think a like is well deserved for this effort. Don't forget to like, and if you enjoy such amazing videos, follow and subscribe to my small channel. That's it for now, friends. I'll see you in the next video.